Gimel. So I've got everything lined up here. And we're going to look over here. It says, Be'esa Nesira, at the time of the Nesira, Nimshacha melanoka Sarah chasade me'ima. Now, this is very interesting because I don't understand it this way. Because the chasadim, first of all, there's 5 chasadim, usually. Here he says there's 10. The chasadim we don't really associate that so much with ima, we associate it with Abba, because Abba is the side of chesed. So I don't know if there's going to be help for me to try to understand this, but we'll try. Number Lama Gimel. He says, a mitzalse bekuntras adam echad, ki oz be'esa nesira, hamshicha, so let me see if I get the nesira, hamshicha email ala nukva dezer anpen asara chasadim, they shine, that is Bina herself shines 10 chasadim into the nukva. Shehem Havayos the Avs. How do we know that? Because Av is a gematria, 72 is a gematria of Chesed. Ki Chesed be gematria Av. Okay, now I haven't ever seen this anyplace else before, so that's nothing new. So here's number Lamed Gimel over here in the Tivuk Kabanos, and let's see what he says. He writes, he says, Marchu Shemata bekitva ha'echad metalmidei Harizal. And the Be'esa Nesira no senis email elanoka sarah chasadim. Now he found this someplace. Vehem asara shemos avaya b'milu yudin ha'ola with the gematria of Av, which is gematria v'chesed b'ragam gu b'gematria Av. So they both occupy the same place. So let's see if there's something here to try to help my understanding. On number Kaf Bet, he says Matzase bekuntros adam echad. Let me get this turned right. There we go. Ki oz be'ez ha-nesira, that then, at the time of the nesira, hamshicha ima el nukva dezer anpen asara chasadim shehem havayos ta'ab the yudin. So let's see. B'yesh ta'ayin ma hema asara chasadim alo halalu. So you have to really look at and say, where are these 10 chasadim? The halacha b'noide sheha chasadim hema chamisha, there's only 5 chasadim, v'halacha b'chasara. So maybe she has, I got an answer for it. Let's see what he says. So I would say, well, there's 5 from her and 5 from Abba, because she has within her Chasadim Gevuros, and so does Abba. I'm not sure, but that's the best I could say. But I made that up. Let's find some more stuff. Now, here's a new section. Wow. It's Drush Gimel. So he wants to talk about Be'inyan Alayla Mekusher Iman Nizkar, that what's nighttime got to do with what we're mentioning, and we're going to read across the top here, or I guess we could read in the Tiv. And let me just see if I got this lined up so I can understand where I'm going. Okay. So he says like this, La'el Sof Drush Base, Hiskel Horal Levayer Es Inin Hatardema V'Hanasira Hana'asis Bezer Anpen. V'lokaman b'drash dalad mamshech levayer shezehu so deshena ba'adam metachton, that it really refers to us as well. So the horos ala dormita, to really teach us about this concept of the deep sleep, and the asis az b'cholamas al which takes place in olam atzilus. V'kan b'drash zecha b'bala levayer inyan noisef in the azach hayudecha b'shinas adam. So now we understand what's a new idea that has to do with our sleep. V'hu chiddush an neshamas hayushanos. So this is the chiddush, which is something I don't know much about. Neshamas hayushanos, I think he means yashan. It could mean sleeping too, but it may mean old. Let's see what he means. Neshamas hajachav v'chein halos mayim nukvin lezivuga elyon, and also the process of elevating our prayers or our needs from the down below as mayim nukvin the zivuga elyon, which causes a yichud up above. Ve'inyanim elu shaykhan le'inyan bia rishayna. Now what we're talking about this is really has to do with that first yichud. V'tikun klicha yisod denuk, and it's for the purpose of making actually a kli that could be mekabel, the ruach that's going to come from Zer Anpin. Al Yedecha Be'imach Na'asim Bechatzos, which takes place at Chatzos Laila, Gafi Sheyavur, and according to this, all going to be according to how we're going to explain this. Now, I know I went through this, but it's kind of a little bit long, and so let's see how it reads. Let me get this turned around. There we go. Get it all on the page. Let's move it. So let me explain another inyan. B'inyan ha'bavura b'kam b'sod shinas ha'adam. Yesh l'sayim as the move of b'sefer Baal Shem Tov. Ala Torah, this is a story about the Baal Shem Tov, b'shem Baal Shem Tov Zohar. So, she'nasach b'tam l'shina, he gives a reason for sleep. She'isar b'shem ha'rizach b'kizvech b'tam nizgavim l'zeh. Shehu b'bechinas mochin dekatnas k'dei la'alos l'mochin degadlus. So he said, let's read the words again. What we're talking about here is mochin dekatnas, and we need to use them in order to go upwards l'mochin degadlus, to bring down mochin degadlus. So that's the words over there. So let's see how this goes. Baal Shem Tov tells a story. Derek Marshall. There's a little story here. The Melech shehoyadach b'ben Yakar Ma'od. He sends his son to war. All the prey, and the booty, so he should send a little by little to his house, and I guess back to the palace, and to individuals. This would sound like a chodim, not sure what he means. But the son answered, he says, why should I give it little by little to hold up to different people or different kinds of ways of giving? I'm not sure. But he said, why don't I bring the whole thing at one time? So I'm afraid that what's going to happen is that the enemy is going to come back. And he become overpowered, more powerful. And he would Rishov and Mincha call and will bring the whole thing back. So in other words, he'll take everything back. So therefore, take it individual little pieces. Now you can understand what he's trying to get at in this way. He says Mesagelas Kol Chayom Torah v'Mitzvos Masim Tovim. So we're constantly doing good things. Yesh T'chush. Pen Yisgavach of a Yetzachar of a Kol Chaz V'Sholom, that a Yetzachar should get a call of everything, God forbid. So therefore, there's an interruption, I guess he means, in sleep. What happens is the whole of the neshama then goes up, the gonezis, and becomes hidden sham ba'otzacham shumer, in a chamber, or the treasure house. Let's say, what? Protected chamber that's guarded. Ad Khan, that's the story. So let's see what does he talk about. Because similar to that, it writes like this. So where does he write it? He writes this. This is a chenk of a nasach of a kavanas akasov he alpi masha kasav ish elokem kodesh harav akadach hari aluria zitzal. That's the Rav. The Nimsach Habaki did Rishena Besefer Kehilis Yaakov. It could keep going on. Bezel Shona the Amna quote. Yadata. Messed that up. Let me unmess that. V'amna Yadata. Mihis Chalkus HaNeshamas the common Nitzutzos. When you look at the Neshamas, and they're divided up into many different sparks. V'kol Gilgul Gilgul, and every time that the soul comes back into the world, every revolution of the soul, Boim Ktsas Mehem, some of them come through at that time. Vukim Misvach HaNitzutzos, and according to the amount of sparks, Shel Atzalam, Kach Misvach Yemei Chayev. So according to now, this whole phrase really needs explanation, but I'll read the words again. He says, according to how many nitzutzos they are, shel hatzelam. Now what the tzelam means is a form of a covering of light. Kach mispach yemei chayev, so also that will correspond to the days of a person's life. V'chayomin she'osa bechem mitzvos, in the days when he does mitzvos, nesaken mitzvos echad, you're able to make a tikkun in one of the mitzvos, one of the nitzutzim. Echad shal hatzalam. Now the tzalam, exactly what he means by it. I know the tzalam is an image, but it's also called the what's it called? Come on, Bubby. Called Soma, of the called Soma. But there's a day that he doesn't do a mitzvah. Nishar pagum nitzos ahu shal chatzalam ahu keneged hayom hahu. Now, once again, the concept of tzalam, I just keep working and gestating, trying to get the work right. It is a kind of covering of the light of the Ein Sof. And in that, apparently, because he's using these words, I figure that what he's talking about is that tzalam is composed of nitzutos. V'chein al zecha b'derek, he says, so what we're really getting out of this, he says, so let's say the ha'ira hakdamazu, so we're illuminating this hakdama. Eine maskil, the eyes of the person who is wise. Bekama prati hachakiras was all different kinds of, I guess, details of investigation. Ha'echad ha'ira eineno b'sod ha'shena. So the first thing he wants to teach us is about the secret of sleep. Ki hu la'alos nitzos. So what is the reason why? What happens when we sleep? This is a big idea, I think. Yehula alos nitzos, to elevate a spark, shaganega the yomahu, is to elevate that spark because you did this mitzvah. V'hu sod rochu, that we say over here, ki hashina echa meshishi mechamesa, that shina is 1/60th of death. Now, exactly how this goes, elevating the nitzos of that day, and what it has to do with death and shina, I'm not sure, but when you're sleeping, you're able to, that's what happens, he says, that's what happens. Vein yitzias ha-nitzos behechlech mekares mechaneshama. Now let's just, this is the way I translate, it's a hard sentence for me. Vein yitzias ha-nitzos, so the going out of this spark. Behechlech, he says, ve'ein yitzias ha-nitzos behechlech, it's not clear, it's not illuminated like we've been talking about, say, on the 10th day of Tishrei. So he says, Mekares, so that it's not clearly seen, Mekares, Mechaneshama, this is that part, Ella, Shanifrad Mahakol, but actually it's separated from all of the rest of it, V'odeno, Nisrach, V'nizbach, B'nefesh, and it's somehow attached to that Nefesh. V'zeh Mechesed Kale, that comes from the Chesed of the name Kale, Shekol Nitzos Shezocha B'yomo, because let's try to get through these words, it's very difficult for me. Shekol Nitzos Shezocha B'yomo, so any mitzvos that a person acquired during the day, he says, Hine hu rachok, is very distant, from being lost. So he says, Hagam Sheyarsho Adam Achrav, so whereas another man can come along later. Just 1 second, I got a warning here that something is wrong with my transmission, but I'll do the best I can. So therefore, by this, let's go back. So then another man, or he himself, will come and just do the nitzah. And as a result of that, the nitzahs that he wants to bring up has got a flaw in it. He could fix it through tshuva. Yashav and nitzah v'yisaken, so they come back to where it belongs and become rebuilt. So this is all the kindness that Hashem has done. And we'll stop here and we'll try to get it worked out better.